Hi everyone, this is Satyajit. So in our earlier videos, we discussed about how to create EC2 instance, how to create load balancer, how to take the snapshots and backup and everything. Okay. So now in these videos, we are going to discuss about how to access the resources. Okay. And it's not, if the resources isn't privately accessible, how to resource it, how to access it more securely. Okay. And if you refer this diagram, on this diagram, I have a simple one VPC. On that VPC, I have two subnet, one public subnet and private subnet. And I have two applications, two EC2 instances running, or two EC2 instances running both in different availability zone. And these are private. So private means you cannot access it from outside. Okay. To access it, you require some medium. So medium is here your Bastion server or Jam server. It means the user is able to connect to the Bastion server, and from that Bastion server he can access to a private servers. Okay, so now this jump server. Okay, so now let's say if only one user and user IP is static, if it is not going to change, like if it is not dynamic, then it is pretty straightforward. We can just users static IP, we will whitelist on the security group of the Bastion server, then it will work fine. Anyone can access it, like whose IP is whitelisted, they can access it. But if the IP is dynamic, it means their IP is changing on regular basis. Then if one IP is we whitelisted and suddenly the IP got changed for that user, then he or she cannot access the server, the Bastion server, because though the Bastion server or Jump server is public, they cannot access it because their IP will change. And security group is nothing but it's a firewall. Okay, whatever the IP is allowed, only that IP they can access it. Okay, so now this it will not work. So we have to make the Bastion server to the fully public. It means 0.0.0.0. We have to open to the world. If we have to open to the world, then who have that key, then anyone can access it. Okay, so now I have one public server and I have the private server. Okay, EC2 private, both are in VPC A. So this is my public, mean my jump server. And if you go to the networking, that is in the public subnet and it has a public IP. So we called as a jump server. And if you refer to the security group, right, on the security group, if you see the 22 port is open to the world, it means anyone can access it. If the people have that keys, then anyone can access it. If I go to the EC2 instance and that key is your DevOps .pem file, devops-new.pem file. So I can just go to the browser and I can specify the key and the user and the respective public IP of that user. So public IP is that much. Okay, and when I hit this public IP, then I can able to access the server. Okay, server is working fine, means I can access it. So if your company or organizations have 10 users or 20 users, then anyone can access it because it is a security group open to the 0.0.0.0 open to the world. And if I share the key, they can able to access it. Okay, and from there, this is the just jump server. We just connected to the jump server. From that jump server, we can able to connect to the private server. So private machine is your private A, and we can just verify what is the key that is using. This key also using same key devops.new, and we have to take the private IP. And from here, the key must be there. If you see, I have already copied the key. So I'll just specify SSH-I and respective key, then EC2 user, @ then IP. Once I hit that, then I can able to connect to the private. So if you see the public IP is 10.0.0.97, but your private, another private instance is 10.0.1, different series. So this is a different server. So I am able to connect it. Okay, but there is a problem. Okay, I just exit from there. Problem means that is not security best practices, because we should not make the SSH port, right, 22 port. If you are using the jump server Windows, so that is 3389 port, right, RDP. So the SSH port and RDP port should not be open to the world, okay, which is not secure at all. This is not the best practices. Okay, so then we cannot make open to the world, because if you make open to the world, if any situations happen, like if any security threat or something, or any security attack happen, then there will be very, very difficult situations for the customer environment, right? So on that cases, 22 port is not at all recommended, okay, to open to the world. So on that situations only we have remaining, right, if we whitelist the individual IP address. And if we can add the individual IP address, that is going to work, they can access it. But whenever their IP got changed, they cannot access it again. Someone has to there every 24/7 if they're using, then we have to whitelist again the IP, which is difficult task again, right? And also we cannot give all the permissions to everyone, right, including the developers and the L1 engineer, something like, we cannot give the permissions to play in the security group to change every time. So that is also not the best practices. So then what is the alternative solutions, how we can make it secure, so that we don't have to, someone doesn't have to monitor every time and open it, and someone doesn't have to add the security group rules and every time. So what are the other ways we can do that? Okay, so we can just refer to other diagram. There is another way is, we can just use point to site VPN, or your client to site VPN, like OpenVPN, right? The AWS provided, it will be available in the marketplace. So OpenVPN, what OpenVPN does, if we create an OpenVPN and we connect it to the OpenVPN server, we can easily access to the private server. We don't have to connect to one server, jump server, and from jump server, like we don't have to do the SSH to the OpenVPN server. In OpenVPN server also, 22 port need to be open. Without that, OpenVPN won't work. But here the main thing is, we are not doing SSH into that. Wherever SSH we are doing, there SSH or RDP we are doing the machine, there 22 port or 3389 port should not be open to the world. But here the OpenVPN server, we are not doing we are not doing SSH to that. We are just connecting to the server via applications. Once it is connected, we can able to access all the server, like all the application servers from our local system. There is no problem on that. So that is somewhat benefit compared to jump server. But the jump server is like, we need to whitelist our IP, and then only we can access. If we make open to the world, then also we can access, but which is not secure. And again, the OpenVPN server, if the OpenVPN is connected, okay, if the OpenVPN is connected, then we can able to access the server. But again, here another problem is, if we have 10 developers and all 10 persons we given the access to the OpenVPN, and all their 10 persons connected to that, and they can able to access to other servers. Okay, they can able to access other servers because there is no other restriction. If you connected to the VPN, then they can able to access to other servers. So how we will restrict that? Okay, so that is the other way, like how we will restrict that. Restrict it means, if we combinations of both OpenVPN and jump server to more secure, like to add two firewall or two checkpoint. Here only one checkpoint. In the other one also only Bastion server checkpoint. If the user pass this checkpoint, then he can able to access it. Okay. In the second one also one checkpoint, though it is little secure, but again checkpoint means once a person is connected internally, they can able to access to the other servers. Okay. Third checkpoint is, if we have both OpenVPN and both jump server. Okay. If you see the diagram, we have both OpenVPN server and jump server. It means once you connected to the OpenVPN, then you cannot access to other servers. You can only access to the jump server. Like that, jump server user cannot access to the jump server or Bastion server directly. Only if you connected to OpenVPN or he connected to the VPN, then only he can access to the Bastion server. Okay, so that what will happen? There are two checkpoints. If the user wants to access to the app1 server, it means he has to connect to first the jump server, and from that, he has to connect to the OpenVPN server. Once he connected, then he can access to the Bastion server. then he can able to access to the app server. Okay, if he has the Bastion server key and everything, but he doesn't have access to the OpenVPN, then he cannot access it. Like that, if you have access to the OpenVPN but doesn't have the Bastion server key, then he cannot access it. So it will be little bit secure to the environment, like little bit secure, extra add-ons, right? So like this way, there are multiple add-ons. We can just check it, we can troubleshoot it one by one, we can go with steps. But in this demo or in this videos, we are going to discuss with that. Now we can go ahead and create an OpenVPN server, because we have the jump server and application server is ready. Now we can just make a OpenVPN server. So to create OpenVPN server, we need to create one server. We can just go, I can just add name is OpenVPN. And here we can, instead of Amazon image, we can just go to the marketplace. We can just go to the marketplace. We can select for the marketplace, and there we can just search for OpenVPN. Okay. And once you click on OpenVPN, there are many devices will come. Like OpenVPN works on license model. License means like how many users can connect to the OpenVPN. There is a limit also. Like if you go with by default, then 2 users can connect at a time. And if you go with 10 connected devices, means 10 users can connect at a time. 20 connected devices, so 25 people. So for this basic demo, I can just go ahead, create a basic one, 2 connected. So now it's showing the pricing. So it has 2 price. One is your EC2 server price, and another one is a license price, OpenVPN price. Okay, so you can just go for pricing and check all the details. And once you do that, just select that, and your OpenVPN AMI got selected. Next is your instance. So I can go with T2.small, or see if you micro will be not applicable for that. So I will just go with T2.small or T2.medium. Let's say T2.small I'm going. Key pair, I just go with the default key pair. And here, if you have to select the VPC A, and it should be in the public subnet. Remember that it should be in the public subnet. If you make it in private subnet, it is not going to work. And auto assign public IP. Generally, for the OpenVPN server, give always the elastic IP. Don't give public IP, because if the server got reboot, if the server got stop and start, if your IP got changed, again there will be a problem to access, and we have to make different settings, right? To make it simpler, you have to use elastic IP so that your IP is not going to change. But on this demo, I'm just selecting the default public IP. That's fine. And the security group, if you're going to create a new security group, by default, if you see the role, 22 port open to the world, 443 port open to the world, 444 943, and a 444 also, 945 0094. So these are the IP, these are the port by default randomly that will take. We don't have to do it manually. That's it. We don't have to worry anything. And other thing remain same, and launch instance. Once we create the instance, it will take some time, because it will be add a subscriptions to the OpenVPN server, and sometime it takes time, and sometime it may. Now it runs successfully initiated, but to make it running, it will take some time. Let's just wait for some more time. Once the OpenVPN access is connected, now by that time it would connect, what I will do, I will just disable the jump server connections. Now this is the jump server. Okay, I'll just rename it so that it will be easier to identify. Okay, so now it is jump server. So my jump server security group, it is open to the world. 22 port is open to the world. Okay, so it means anyone can access it. So what I will do it now, instead of it will be connected, it will be anyone can access it. So my requirement is, once I connected to the OpenVPN, then only I can access to the jump. So it means OpenVPN as server private IP should be whitelisted on the jump server IP. It means, like, once I connected to the OpenVPN, okay, then only I can access to the jump server. It means that jump server, in the jump server security group, the 22 port should be allowed for the OpenVPN IP, so that when the OpenVPN connected, then only I can access to the jump server. So I will just take the OpenVPN private IP. So OpenVPN private IP is this one. Now I need to go to the jump server security group, and on the security group, edit inbound rules. Instead of 22 make open to the world, I will just go in, I just go to the random, like custom one and /32. Okay, and this is the IP of OpenVPN server IP. Okay, so that is done. Now if you hit it the local, okay, let me exit it. Okay, I will just terminate the sessions and I will recreate, open the terminal, and if I will, I'm inside the download. If I go for to access the private one, this is the public one, right? If I enter hit right, so it is not going to work because IP is not allowed. So it means now we cannot access the jump server because our IP is not allowed, or neither jump server is open to the world. So this is fine. Now this is good. Next is now let's connect it to the OpenVPN. So to make connections to the OpenVPN, we'll just verify OpenVPN, and we can verify into the monitor and troubleshoot, get instance screenshot whether it is working fine. See, now OpenVPN is able to connect, right? Because all the checks are passed. So now what we need to do, let's try to connect to the OpenVPN. So once you click on OpenVPN, take the public IP address, and OpenVPN, to connect OpenVPN, it is SSH-I, then give the same, and OpenVPN user is OpenVPN Edge. Okay, OpenVPN Edge is user ID, and hit the IP. Once you hit that, it will ask for connections. Okay, we have to do some of the steps. Okay, now it's saying as this is a software as a service, it means OpenVPN come with software, all the predefined install, we just use it. We have to agreement, we need to make it as yes. Okay, once you agreement is, by default everything just choose, no need to select anything, randomly select everyone, everything. So that is like options. Okay, what is the key, okay, which interface, everything you need to use it, what is the port number for admin, everything by default do that. Now somewhere it will ask for the password for the username. Okay, we'll just check that once. Okay, so private subnet be accessible to client? Okay, we will do that. Now I said, do you wish to log in the admin as OpenVPN? You want to, so he's saying admin user is OpenVPN? Yes. If yes, then give the password. So just, I'm just giving some password. Once you hit that password, uh, then it's asking confirm the password open. It's done. Now please specify the activations key. So activation key means now OpenVPN which we have selected, that is for two users, default two users. Okay, if you have an activations key, if you add that, so that activation key is just like purchasing the license. Let's say you want another 5 users to purchase the license, you can just add that activations key, but I don't have to do that, I will do later. Now done, it is just creating the OpenVPN configurations, right? It is going to create and everything added. Once that is added, then it will give you the UI. Okay, so now it gave us the UI. One is your client page and one is your admin page. Okay, so admin page means we need to manage everything, right? The users need to be created, and everything we need to manage by the admin user, admin portal, and the client API means to connect. So to first of all, you need to download the OpenVPN tool, to download the OpenVPN software, right? So what you can do, you can just go to the OpenVPN, download something, and here you can just go there. So VPN, you can just go in there, and there you can just download it. 1 minute. OpenVPN for Windows. If you're using Windows, just type on Windows and client. OpenVPN client, you need to download and click on that, then download it. If you're using Mac, So you can go for Mac and do that. Okay, I have already downloaded. So if I type the OpenVPN connect, my OpenVPN page will come like this. Okay, now my OpenVPN is there. Okay, now how to do that? You have to click on this plus button, right? Plus. Okay, after that is asking the UI. So now I have already the UI, which is your client UI. Which is your client UI? This one, the port number, everything you need to copy it and just enter here. So HTTPS, it will come double, right? So you can just remove that HTTPS. That's it. Once you do that, then next. Then after that, it is going to ask for certificate accept. Yes, I'm accepting. Then it will ask for the username. Username is your OpenVPN password, which password I have given. Once you do that, then import it. Once you click on import, it is imported. Now you just need to connect it. Once you connect, it is going to ask you for the password. If you just hit the password, it will be connected. If you see, my OpenVPN is connected. So once my OpenVPN is connected, okay, then I can connect to the jump server. You can just go and verify. Okay, I'll just copy this to URL because this two URLs are mandatory. I can just store in my notes. Okay, so somewhere I'll just store in my notes, and let us do that and exit from here. Now I will try to access the public one. If I hit this one, let's see whether I'm able to access it or not. So I'm trying to connect to the jump server. Okay, whether I am able to connect it or not, I can just verify, or else I will just try to hit. First of all, telnet connectivity, because we are already connected to the VPN. My VPN is in their VPC. So now I need to connect to the jump server. So jump server IP, private IP is this one. So I will just do telnet private IP 22 port. Okay, if you see connection is connected, it means I can able to connect. So now SSH hyphen I DevOps EC2 IP user at the rate and jump server private. Don't specify the public IP, private IP. If you hit that, let's see. Yes, if you do yes is, now I am able to connect to a 10.0.0.97. It means I am able to connect to the jump server, because jump server security group, I added 22 port for the Bastion server. So that once I, sorry, for the OpenVPN server. So once I connected to the OpenVPN server, from there, I can able to connect jump server. So my this requirement fulfilled now. It means I connected to VPN. From there, I connected to Bastion. But there is a twist again. What means? I need to verify first whether after connecting to the OpenVPN, I can able to directly connect to the app server or not. Okay. So that I can able to connect to the app server directly or not. Okay. So to do that, let me try to test it first. Okay. I will exit from here. So on my local terminal, I can just do telnet and EC2 private server private IP. And from here, I can just try 22 port. If you see, I can able to connect also, but that should not be happen. It means like once I connected to the VPN, I can able to, it means from the diagram, once I connected to the VPN, I can able to access direct all the servers, like all the private servers, everything. But then what is the use of Bastion server? But my requirement is once I connected to the VPN, I can only access to the jump server. I cannot access to the apps other private. So once I connected to the OpenVPN, I can only access to the jump server, and from the jump server, I can access it. So to do that, so what we need to do, we need to add some settings into the admin portal. So I have to go to login. I have to take the login from admin, and in the hit, you can just hit the admin browser and go there in the admin browser, proceed to login. Admin user is same user, okay, OpenVPN, and password is whatever the password you have set it. Once you do that, we have to accept the agreement. Okay, just it is taking some time. Agree. Once you do that, it will take you to the portal, admin portal, and here it's saying the activations key. Two VPN connections allowed. It means two user can connect at a time. Okay, more than two user cannot connect. Okay, now you can go to the network settings. We can just verify where to add. Okay, just verify. There is something called VPN settings. Okay, if you come here, VPN settings, here routing allowed here, all VPC 10.0.0.0.16/16, all VPC. Instead of that 10.0.0.16 VPC, what we can do, we can just only allow the Bastion server IP. Okay, so Bastion server IP means nothing but your this one. Okay, so what I will do now, in the here, we can just, instead of that, we can just allow this one /32. It means the bastions, once you connect it to the OpenVPN, you can only access to this server. Okay, you can just verify, save settings. After that, you have to update running servers. Okay, once you do that, I think our part is done. Let us verify now. We can just do the telnet. If you do the telnet, it must be connected. Okay, and after that, try to do the telnet of this one. It is saying unable to connect. See now, no route, because you cannot connect it. You cannot connect it. Earlier, you can able to connect it telnet, because if I show the existing that telnet 10.0.1.21.22 port, it was able to connect. But now if you able to hit it, it cannot create it telnet. It will show the error. It will throw the error. But whereas your 10.0.0.97, it can able to connect because this IP is allowed. So now everything is perfect, because now if you do the SSH, let's do the SSH. This is my jump server. If you hit it, I can connect to the jump server. There will be no restrictions. Okay, now jump server is connected, and from the jump server you can able to, let me little zoom it. Okay, from the jump server, I can able to connect to the app server. If you go for SSH-I can able to, okay, let me verify. 10.0.0.97 is your jump server, yes, and the private server IP, and here I can just connect SSH-I, your key, and EC2 user at the rate and this IP address. I can able to connect to the private one. But if you come to the, as I connected to the OpenVPN now, right? I connected to the OpenVPN. From there, if I try to hit SSH-I EC2 user at the iPrive, I cannot connect it. I cannot connect directly to the app server. But earlier I was able to connect it, right? So now if I hit the same thing for the jump server, I can able to connect. There will not be any issues, right? But if the VPN is disconnected, let's say VPN is disconnect. Okay, if the VPN is disconnect, now you cannot access it. Now you cannot access to your jump server. If see no route to host, it means now there are two restrictions. VPN must to be connected, and you then only you can connect to the jump server, and from jump server you can connect to the your application servers. You cannot connect. So now to access your application server, now a little bit secure. Okay, and how to maintain the users, you can just come here, and here you could go for the user management, and you go for user management. uh, if you click on user permission something, right, it will come the user page, and on that user page you can just create username. Let's say my name is Satyajit, so I can create a Satyajit. So Satyajit user to be in the admin portal, so you can, if you require, you can go to the admin portal and everything. And now how to reset the password, you can click on that edit button, and local password, you can just set it some random password, and after that you can just save the settings, and after that you have to do the update running servers. Once you do that, now another user Satyajit is created. You can create multiple user as much as you can, but as here the users are only two, right? The VPN settings only two, so maximum two users can connect. At more than two users cannot able to connect to the VPN server. If you require more, then you need to purchase the activations key and purchase the license and apply it. Okay, so in these videos we discuss about how to access the application server which is in private. So we use the jump server, so directly people are accessing the jump server, and you can connect to the app server. And we know like jump server, we can allow 22 port to the individual people IP address, which is secure, and they can able to access it, so that other party, if they got to know the key also, they cannot access it. Okay, but still the IPs, the users IP are generally dynamic. It is going to change every time, so that is not the best practices also, so that some engineers have to be there every time, so that wherever the users or end users or your developers IP got changed, so someone has to add into the security group, which is not the best practices. So to make that happen, what we do, 22 port open to the world, and which is not secure, because generally the 22 port should not be open to the world, okay, which is not the best practices. To overcome that, we may go with the VPN software. VPN comes with the AWS marketplace side. Once you connect to the OpenVPN, that we don't have to connect, we don't have to do the SSH, just only we need to go here, and here once you add the profile, just connect it and put your password. Once you put the password, it will be connected, then you can use it. So SSH issue resolved. Then you don't have to rely on the 22 port open for IP or not. No, once you connect it, you can able to access it. But again, the problem is, if you given the OpenVPN access and your OpenVPN server is connected, so all your developers and other party, they can able to connect the servers, so there will be again problem. Okay, so to overcome that, if we can add some more security, it means we have both OpenVPN and jump server. It means if you connect it to the OpenVPN, no one cannot access all the servers. Okay, no one cannot access all the servers. Or else, okay, to make it secure, even more secure, okay, so what we can do, and here in the configurations file and your VPN settings, instead of I just added here only the jump server IP. If you come only jump server IP, you can just add random. Let's say there are two server which is developer, and another 10 servers are administrator. Let's say in my EC2 instance, two server which is developer related. So we want, once the developer connected to the jump server, connected to the OpenVPN, they can connect to two server directly, so that there will be no requirement of jump server access to the developer, because once they connected to OpenVPN, they can access directly the two server from their local. But other 10 server admin, if they want, they cannot connect it, because that can be accessed only from the jump server, and jump server they can access once they connected to the OpenVPN. And we will not share the jump server private key with the developers, so it will be more even secure. What happened, like developers connected to the VPN, they can only access to the two server for them, which is designated for them. Okay, and whereas administrator, they can also access directly the two servers, and also they can connect it to the jump servers, and from that jump server they can access other 8, so which is be more secure in this case. Like developers cannot access to the admin servers, and it will be more secure. Okay, you can just practice on that, and if you have any queries, you can just comment that, so I will help you out.